about the invisible powerhouse. And again, thank you, Asma, for making this possible. I think when people begin to really understand what is going on the inside, what is driving the behaviors, what is driving the thoughts, what is driving the speech problems and the communications problems, people will become more apt and more able to take action and be able to help maybe their kids or their siblings or loved ones better. And as Asma has said, the Brain and Body Foundation is something we established about 5 years ago. Really, it was to address within the context of the limited resources we have in Nigeria to treat challenging problems, especially brain problems. Because, I mean, Africa as a whole is a challenge. I don't know how it is in Dubai. Of course, you probably have you're a lot more advanced in your access to technology. But Africa as a whole, when it comes to brain challenges, we are terribly far behind. And so we don't have access to all the super duper technology and the tests and the equipment and, of course, the healthcare experts. But yet, we have a lot more of these brain challenges than the Western world does. And so my thoughts when we started the foundation was that let's find a way to help people within the context of these limitations. And so we found out that there were indeed a lot of things that we could do in a safe, simple, inexpensive way that could advance people or improve on health so much more even than those in the Western world. And it was startling. And I think part of the reason why we've been able to get such great results, and I'll share a few of those results as we go along, is because we're looking at the fundamentals. We're looking at the basic principles about how the brain and how the body work and what it takes to get them to work like they should. And now that's not to say that other experts are not doing it. And a lot of things we have learned have been learned from other experts as well. But when you're limited to when you have just very few resources, you become resourceful and you learn how to use things more effectively. So as a result of the results we have been getting, the government of Nigeria was so impressed that it gave us an extensive mandate to address not just brain disorders, but also other things like immune problems like cancer, women's health issues, men's health issues, using the approach that we have developed in the years we've been working at the foundation. So it's not just about treating; we also teach. In fact, we've even been given the access by the government to actually address and teach healthcare professionals, doctors, healthcare professionals. I've already said healthcare professionals about our approach to health. And this is just like an overview, just so you know where we're coming from. And these are some of the conditions that we have gotten some tremendous results in. Number 6 there, sickle cell disease we started doing that more and more because Nigeria, if anything, is the fountainhead of sickle cell disease worldwide. We have the most by far. And kids, at least 50% of kids die before the age of 5, and really not much is being done in that regard. And so we found out that, again, there are simple things that can be done, and we've been getting really good results there. We're going to start some research, and hopefully we shall generate data so that we'll be able to influence the way medical treatments happen in Nigeria with sickle cell disease. And I really feel that there are huge gaps that are making these kids die unnecessarily, and I think we can do a lot about them. So let's go into the main topic. Enough about the initial overview about who I am. I just thought to just lay the foundation for what we're going to be going into. So this is a brief outline, and I like some of the reactions in the chat. Okay, it's about the stomach. Okay, it's about about what goes in and the quality and all those things. That's very good. And I have to tell you that even as a doctor and as a medical student and learning about the digestive system, there are a lot of things I'm going to share with you today that we as doctors don't know. I had to pretty much go out of medicine, go outside the bounds of medicine to learn these things, and they have been absolutely helpful. So this is just to say that this is not to be taken or construed as what you might call it now, a replacement for your doctor's health expert advice. This is meant to be something that you do in collaboration with your doctor. If at all you're going to take anything from this talk, it's a lot of what we do is in collaboration with healthcare professionals, not independent of them. But there's a lot to be said for taking charge of your health, and the place you start taking charge of your health. And I'm saying this as someone who has worked with worked with the brain, and I've worked with the immune system and several different aspects. I started my practice as a radiation oncologist in training. So I've done a lot with cancer. We've done a lot with several different areas. We've done a lot of surgeries. I've been extensively exposed to health. And I'm saying this, that the very best thing you can do, the very, very best thing, whether it's for yourself or your family or your kids or loved ones as a healthcare professional, the best thing you can do for health is to ensure that your digestive system is healthy. Again, it took me a while to come to this conclusion, but now it has no question. This is where you really have to start. Even if you have a brain challenge, this is where you need to start. Obviously, if there's an emergency, you have an infection or whatever it is, you go to the hospital. But when it comes to taking charge of your health, this is where you need to start. And I read this quote here because I got this quote about, somebody sent it to me when I was writing my first book. And this was a professor of biochemistry. And he sent me a quote. I asked him for a quote and he sent me this quote. I am convinced that proper digestion is the great secret of life. And I gotta say, I was a little confused. Why would a professor of biochemistry send me a quote by a Scottish philosopher? And at that time, I really didn't understand it. I was like, okay, it's one of these things. But over the years, I've come to understand why that is so. And I'm going to share a few examples, stories with you. Every Friday, on Fridays now, we have a free clinic, and we've been doing this for the past almost 5 years in Abuja, Nigeria. And people come, indigent, poor people come for their treatments for their kids with cerebral palsy and other conditions. And what we have seen is that when we started giving them good supplements and nutraceuticals, we began to see the first signs of improvement was that they would start stooling. And they would start stooling, and the mothers would say that the stool is hard, it's compact, but when they were able to get all that stuff out, and another thing they said was that it was very, very smelly. But once they were able to get it out, the children began to improve, whether it was from cerebral palsy or from seizures or anything. The first thing was that they would poop out and they would improve. It's not that all of them had constipation, but many of them had that issue. In other cases, with children with genetic problems like Down syndrome, we would give them things like probiotics, and I'll explain what that means. We would give them probiotics, which is a kind of supplement, and those kids would, just on probiotics, their speech would improve, their behavior would improve, they would become more interested in what was going on around them. On the adult side, because we've now transitioned to treating adults as well, we found out that if you helped adults with dementia, memory problems, who are losing their marbles, sort of, quote unquote, we found out that once they had, either they went for an enema or something that helped to cleanse their guts, it improved their health. And this was also cancer patients. You see that cancer patients, when they had a colon cleanse, a colon flush, that's the word. Somebody colon flush, if they went to the doctor and they were able to do that for them in a safe way, they would improve their health as well. So that's, amongst other reasons, is why I say you've got to start with the digestive system. And why is the gut so important? And I'm going to relate this to, obviously, autism and other learning disabilities. But again, I think the foundation is really, really important. And I have to give Asma credit for this because she's the one who chose this topic. So thank you, Asma, for being so perceptive. Okay, so why is the gut so important? Obviously, and the most obvious reason is that for your body to heal, for your body to function, for your body to be in health, you have to have the right nutrients. And the nutrients have to get into your body through your digestive system. It has to be broken down. It has to be absorbed. It has to be used by the cells and the organs and the tissues effectively to do whatever those cells are doing. Without nutrients, the body, the cells will not function. And that's why I like this quote. The human body heals itself, and proper nutrition provides it with the resources that are needed to accomplish that task. This is not just for people who have had an accident or people who have been in the hospital for 5 or 6 weeks or have had COVID-19. This is for you, it's for me. Every person is being damaged. Every person is being damaged by infection, by rays from the sun, by rays from your cell phone, by the food you eat. There are toxins in the food you eat. All sorts of things are going on. Our cells are constantly being damaged. It's the food you eat that your body takes to use to repair the damage that has happened. I need you to understand that. You've got to know that as you are sitting down now, the body is being assailed by toxins. And the more effective your body is able to repair and protect against that damage, the healthier you will be. And it's food to a very large extent. Obviously, there are other things as well, like your attitude, whether or not you're stressed, where you live, and so on and so forth. But food is the most constant that you can control. So that's why it's so important that you eat the right kinds of foods. So the second one is the nervous system. Number two, they refer to the gut as the second brain. One of the reasons for that is that it has the most abundant nervous system outside of the brain. It has more nerves than the spinal cord. It has more nerves than all the rest of the body combined. It is packed. That's why I like the word powerhouse. It is packed with nerves and nervous supply. In fact, they are finding out there are more nerves that go from the digestive system to the brain than from the brain back to the digestive system. So the influence of the digestive system on the brain is larger than that of the brain on the digestive system. As a matter of fact, if you cut the brain away, they have found out the digestive system functions on its own, even without the influence of the brain. And they're still learning a lot. But I just want you to understand that the digestive system has a huge amount of nerves, and it works with nerves, and it's extremely influenced by the nervous system that is within it. Interestingly enough, number three, and we found this out interestingly enough, that the gut also produces neurotransmitters. You've probably heard about serotonin. You've heard about dopamine. You've heard about other neurotransmitters. The body, the cells in the guts, in collaboration with the microbes, produce as much as 95% of all the serotonin in the body. Serotonin is meant to help to calm you down. It's meant to help in sleep. It's meant to help even in just ability to function normally. And we know that there's this imbalance of serotonin in children with autism and ADD and ADHD and other conditions. But again, the point is this. So the majority of serotonin is made in the guts, not in the brain. It's made and used in the guts. Also, the dopamine is made and used in the gut. That holds a lot of potential for treatment. And it should have changed the way we addressed brain disorders. And the problem with medicine is that many times it takes a while for clinical medicine or practical medicine to catch up with what the research is telling us. But hopefully that's going to change. Another thing, the immune system. I want to switch over to the immune system. This is another thing that we did not know in learning medical school. 70 to 80% of your immune system is in the digestive system. Did you know that before, Asma?
70. It was surprising. It was surprising even when I heard it.
It
wow,
is
70 to 80. That's
70 to 80% is in there. We never knew that as medical students, even as doctors, until much later when I started studying about autism. So if anybody is ignorant about this, Just know that a lot of us doctors too are ignorant of this fact as well. So if 70 to 80% of the gut is in the digestive system, so if 70% of your immune system is in the digestive system, and we now know that a large part of neurodevelopmental conditions are influenced by the immune system, then it makes more sense that if you're going to start to treat or try to help any child with autism, ADD, ADHD, cerebral palsy, it doesn't matter. You're going to need to start in the gut. And then this other aspect, the microbiome. Many of you may have heard that we have a lot of bacteria and other kinds of bugs living in our gut. The gut has the most amounts. Obviously, there's microbes all over our body, on our skin, in our mouth, in our ears, everywhere. But the gut has the most amounts. And it says it's about 2 to 3 pounds, which happens to be the weight of the brain itself. And that's another reason why they call it the second brain. And we are just now beginning to understand how influential the microbes in the gut are. They're seeing that even way back in your mother's womb, the microbes play a huge role in brain development, not just brain development, but immune system development, and so on and so forth. In fact, they find out that the microbes, I'm talking about bacteria now. When we were in medical school, we only thought bacteria were bad. Now we know that the majority of bacteria are actually good for us and actually healthy for us. And they play a role, like I said, in development of the immune system. They teach the immune system what is a threat and what is not a threat, what is good and what is not good. And they help, the good bacteria now help to ward off or fend off infections from bad bacteria. They play an immense amount of good. The problem again in autism and other developmental conditions is that development of the microbiome and of the immune system, that interplay is affected to a very, very large extent. I have what I call the central governing system. And these are the 3 main systems in our bodies that control the rest. So we have about 12 to 13 systems in our bodies. The nervous system, the musculoskeletal system, the circulatory system, the digestive system, like we're talking about. The 3 systems that control all the others are this pink one called the nervous system, the blue one, the endocrine system, which of course has the hormones, male hormones, female hormones, quote unquote, the hormones that control digestion, the hormone that controls sleep, and so on and so forth. The immune system. These 3 systems control all the other 9 plus systems in the body. So therefore, it is of utmost importance that these systems be healthy and strong. But guess what? After what I've just said, the majority of your immune system is in the gut. A larger amount of your nervous system is in the gut. Even your hormones, a large amount of hormones are made and processed in the gut. And we've just talked about the microbiome. The bugs are in your gut as well. So again, this is to further impress upon you the importance of having a healthy gut. And too much of the time, I'm going to get into it in a minute, too much of the time, we tend to neglect this all-important aspect, and therefore we suffer for it. And here we are treating all kinds of things. We're taking this pill, we're taking that pill. Meanwhile, we're not even sure whether those pills are going to be absorbed and used by the organs and tissues that they're meant for, because they have to go through the gut. So I have this slide in front of me, in front of you, because I want to see. The question is, if the digestive system is so important, then how do I know if I'm healthy or not? And this is where, ladies, I find the problem is among ladies more than men. I think men have no problem as much as ladies do, but ladies think it's a cool thing not to go to the bathroom. I don't know why, but I've met a couple of ladies who would rather not go to the bathroom for 2 days, 3 days, and keep it all in. I'm saying that's a problem. You need to be stooling at least twice a day. They're now finding out that people have they've done autopsies and they've done all these tests. You find out that people can have as much as 8 meals stuck in their gut that has not been fully digested and hasn't been gotten out. That's a tragedy, because if food gets stuck, I mean, you've heard the saying that nature hates a vacuum. Well, nature hates stasis, probably even more than that. And what do I mean by that? Stasis is when things are not moving. So if you have a river and all of a sudden you dam the river and the water stops flowing, what happens? It begins to stink. You have mosquitoes, all these other kinds of creepy crawlies in that water. It's not as fresh as it should. For things to be healthy, for things to be fresh, for things to work well, you've got to keep things moving. And the gut is a problem for many people because they're not keeping things moving. Part of it, obviously, is that they're not eating the right kind of foods, like fiber, that will keep things moving. But we know in autism and other developmental conditions, there's a big problem in the movement of stools and other things through the guts. They found out that it is slower. If the stools are well formed, they talk about it being S-shaped because everything is joined together, and I don't want to be gross here, but everything is all compacted together. So it all comes out. It should all come back out in about 2 or 3 pieces, not in the tiny pieces, not watery at all. Those are not, that means there's something going on. It's not healthy. Obviously, you should have minimal bloating. You should not be having bloating. It could be something to do with allergies if you're having bloating, or maybe you don't have enough enzymes. We can talk about that in future programs. So those things need to be in place. Once you go to the bathroom, you should feel that you've fully pushed out everything. You shouldn't have the sensation that there's still some left if your digestive system is working properly. I call the toilet paper test. I learned from another doctor that you shouldn't be having to use much toilet paper if your digestive system is healthy. And the last one there is the stress factor. If you're stressed, your digestive system cannot be healthy. If you're always stressed, if you're working, you're not sleeping like you should, if you're having tension between you and your significant others or between you and your children, there's that constant strain and that tension, the digestive system is going to be affected. And it's not to lose hope or lose heart. There's always something you can do to help heal your digestive system.
So Dr. David, does it mean that there's something that's being secreted from the brain when you're stressed that affects the digestive system, or what's the relationship between stress and the digestive system?
That's a great question. So we mentioned serotonin, we mentioned dopamine. Serotonin is the antidote for stress. So if your digestive system is functioning well, it should be able to secrete serotonin and to keep things calm, even in the midst of stress. But we also know that the brain itself produces other chemicals, neurotransmitters, that's in response to stressful things. But it's more the adrenal glands that produce what is known as cortisol. You're familiar with the term cortisol. So cortisol is a hormone that is released universally when you have stress. And what cortisol does is that it shuts everything down. It shuts the digestive system down, it shuts the immune system down, it drives sugar and glucose into the bloodstream and into the muscles so that you can run away. That's the primary reason for cortisol, is to get you away from danger. But the truth is, there's not really that danger. The danger is more with inside you or in terms of relationships. And so that cortisol just keeps on rising and rising and rising, and it affects the digestive system adversely, because the whole idea is to take away blood and energy from non-essential in your body's mind. It's not as essential to be digested. Right now, you need blood you need oxygen, you need glucose in your bloodstream, not in the digestive system. So therefore, your digestive system won't be working like it should. It won't be secreting the enzymes it needs to digest food. It won't be moving things along. It shuts the digestive system down. Does that make sense?
I see. Okay.
So I kind of alluded to this a couple of times, but I think we have to actually just have to spell it out. What we know from research and from our practice, clinical practice, and from working with other doctors and healthcare professionals is that there are several areas that are affected in the guts of a child with autism. And each of these, the good thing is, can be addressed. And sometimes can address many of them together. But one thing for sure is that many of them, if not most of them, are constipated at some point in their life. Sometimes parents tell me that at some point he was constipated, not as much anymore. But there's, even if, let me just tell you this, even if none of these things were happening in that, when I say none, I would say that if the parents say this child, he stools twice a day, he's fine, he doesn't have any bloating, he doesn't hold his stomach, he's not in any distress, he's okay, there's nothing wrong with his digestive system. Even if they say that, as long as a child is exhibiting the symptoms and signs of autism or other learning disabilities like hyperactivity, I can almost guarantee you that there's something going on in their guts. The fact that it's not manifesting, in fact, they say about 30 or 70% of all conditions that are affecting the brain are due to gut issues, and that many of these conditions, the patients have no sign. They show no symptom whatsoever of anything going on in the gut. So you go to the neurologist or you go to the psychiatrist or the psychologist, and you complain about your mind, you're not able to sleep, and because you don't feel you have anything wrong with your gut, the psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever treats you for the problems in your brain, treats you for stress, treats you for this, and totally exempts or ignores the gut. And I say that's a mistake. You're pretty much fighting with one hand behind your back and your both eyes blindfolded. And maybe your shoelace even tied together. If you, as a brain specialist or a neurologist or psychiatrist or psychologist, if you don't take into consideration the gut as well, I don't know how to stress that any more than that. So there are many of them, we find out that they have enzyme deficiencies. That's why some enzymes, some people get enzymes and it works very well for the symptoms of the child. And another thing we find out is that in terms of the microbiome, the totality of all the bugs, they find out that they don't have as diverse species of bugs in their guts. It's more limited, it's more constricted. They just have a few of this, a few of that. They are finding that in the guts. Again, that can be addressed. Many times, I'm just going to explain this, because they're not able to digest certain foods, especially things like gluten and things like starchy foods, carbohydrates. Many times that leaves the small intestine only partially digested. That causes problems in the colon. The mucosal layer, the mucous layer is something that is meant to protect the lining of the guts. That is affected. And one of the reasons for that is inflammation. The inner lining of the gut wall, where the cells are supposed to join together and form a tight junctions. They're seeing leaky gut. Maybe you've heard of the term leaky gut. They're seeing that happens in autism. And there seem to be more of, because the body is not removing toxins as effectively, there may be higher levels of toxins, heavy metals, parasites, and so on. As a matter of fact, things like aggression, even in some cases, hyperactivity, inattention could be traced to high levels of heavy metals like mercury and lead. Sometimes it doesn't happen it's not the only culprits. Some things like candida and candidiasis feed upon things like mercury and lead, and they tend to blossom and multiply in the presence of those metals. So the question is, how do we get all this stuff out? Okay, that's my information. So I was told we're just going to do a short one. So this was meant to be an introduction to Our series, I think something about our series, right, Asma?
No, sorry, Dr. David. Sorry. I think I deviated you a bit. I was just thanking them for their rapt attention, nothing to do with you for now. And just trying to tell them to get their questions ready for when you're done. But please go
Okay.
on. It's getting more
Okay.
interesting. Besides, we didn't start early, right? So I think we can go a bit beyond the hour if you're okay and everybody else is. If you have more to share,
Okay.
probably log off a
Well,
little.
I'm getting close to the end, and I think when the questions start coming in, we'll be able to explain some things some more.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I'm working with the timing you gave me, so it's
Good. Okay, good to know that. All right.
all right. So let me see. So let's look at it. Let's kind of like go over what we've talked about. Why is the gut so important? The gut-brain connection. I hope we've established that there's a really, really strong connection between the digestive system and the brain. One of the cases back in our center in Abuja, very interesting. I had a family of four. All four kids have sickle cell disease, very severe sickle cell disease. In fact, the mother, uh, before she came to the clinic with the kids, there was never a time throughout her married life after the birth of her first child, and I think he was 16 at the time. There was never a time when she was not in the hospital where one of or more of her kids were not on admission. I didn't say that she had to take them to the clinic or to the emergency room. I'm talking about on admission. The kids were on admission every single month. And we started helping them. We started treating them. Again, it was completely free at that time. I was still trying to make sure that everything continues to be free. And for about 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I think it was going to about 6 or 7 months when no single hospital visits. So we went to the Ministry of Health in Abuja, and we took her along, and we took a few other parents to talk to them about what we were doing and we're trying to get some kind of partnership going. And she came up and testified. She said, "This is the first time." She told all the directors and the staff there that came for that meeting, about 50 who came for that meeting, and she said, "This is the first time that she's been able to complete a Ramadan fast in her 16 plus years of married life. First time." So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, the people were all just in amazement. They were just in amaze. Anyway, why I'm saying this is that her two last kids are identical twins in every way. And when one of the clinic visits, they come and then they both have a missing tooth, kind of like the growing thing. He was 6 years of age. They were missing their tooth. The tooth was missing in this exact same place. I mean, these are as identical as they come. And so I thought that was quite interesting. So I asked their mother, "Do they have crises at the same time?" And she's like, "Yes. If one has a crisis, the other one has a crisis immediately." And they are so close. So, and when I think about the connection between the brain and the gut, I think about those kids. They are 1 and 2, 6 and 7. I think about that connection, and it's the same thing that happens with the brain and the gut. If something happens to the brain, injury, infection, whatever it is going to be reflected in the gut. If something happens in the gut, it is going to be reflected in the brain. They are 1 and 2, 6 and 7. You cannot treat one without treating the other. As a matter of fact, the starting place should be in the gut for the reasons that we tried to explain earlier on. All right. Okay, I think I've told you about the signs of a healthy, unhealthy gut. Okay. All right. So the very best thing, again, I will say, the very best thing you can do for your health is to ensure your digestive system is healthy. And when I think about this COVID-19 days, this period that we're in, and of course, vaccines are becoming available, which is a good thing. However, we've been talking about things like vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin and zinc. These are all very, very important. I strongly advise you to take this, especially if you are Black. Many of you are lacking vitamin D. The fact that you're in a hot environment does not mean that you're getting vitamin D. You need the rays. It's about light. rays, not about heat. It's about light rays. And if you're covered up, you are lacking in vitamin D. If you're in the house all the time, you're lacking in vitamin D. So one of the things I always talk to Black people about is please take vitamin D as a supplement. You can't get it from food. You can't get enough from food as well. This is also important. I know I'm digressing. This is something that we'll talk about in future lessons. But we now know that many times with autism, one of the risk factors for autism is a deficiency of vitamin D in the pregnant mother, because vitamin D is crucial for brain development. So if the mother is not getting enough vitamin D, it poses a risk for autism in the child. Now, I was saying all that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I was saying all that to say, yes, you got to take pills. But after what we've just said now, in my opinion, it's more important for you to ensure your digestive system is healthy. And there are certain things that can be done to have a healthy digestive system. And then you can do the vitamin D, the vitamin C, and the zinc. All right, so I think.
Thank you so much, Dr. David. I mean, you've said so much in so little time. I know the topic is very robust and there's no way you can do justice to it, but I'm sure we've gotten a lot. Can I have in the chat with either a yes or a wow or something if you've learned something from Dr. David? Then we can get to your questions or some reactions. Have you all gotten something? Great session indeed. Okay, thank you, Kani, Dr. Kani. Thank you. Now we can go to the questions. You're all here. Doctor, do you want to scan through the chat and pick the questions, or okay? Let me go with the first one.
Yeah,
Shema is asking, my bosom friend, also very close to Abimbola. All my buddies are here. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. She's asking, is there evidence for the use of probiotics in children?
Yes. The reason my hesitancy is that if I were to say that, if I were to point you to one immediately, I wouldn't be able to, because I don't have one on the top of my head. But I did a lot of research on my own before starting to use probiotics, and some of it, quite frankly, to be totally plain with you, has been done. The extensive studies have been done in mice and monkeys and other animals, but clinical applications are all over the world, all over the country, where they've been using this. And again, from our own experience, we've been using it a lot. However, you've got to use the right kind. So a blanket saying use probiotics, to me, should be taken with a lot of caution, because you want to be sure that you're using the one that has been shown to, be effective and safe.
How can one improve bowel movement and ease constipation and bloating in adults and children? I know this is a huge one, and it's going to come subsequently in your calls, but let me see what you have to say about this.
One of the very best things that I use for myself too, because it's something, I guess when we turn 40 and above, Asma, that's when things begin to start going south. So I used to deal with it a lot myself. So fiber, specifically psyllium husk. Let me just write that down here. Psyllium husk. I'm sure everybody should. Maybe everybody's not. Psyllium. There's a one I use I use from the Whole Foods here in the US that is superb. I've tested so many different kinds. This is the flakes, not a capsule, not a tablet, not the powder. The flakes, like Gary flakes. Works wonderfully. What it does is it helps to push stuff out. It helps to clean up stuff more. But even more important than that, it helps to feed the good bacteria. And I think I mentioned a couple of things about the importance of probiotics as the good bacteria. If you feed the good bacteria will take care of you. You get the good bacteria stronger, and the bacteria will take care of you. I think, in my opinion, that's probably the first thing you want to start when you're talking about boosting or strengthening your immune system.
Okay, would that be in the morning and you mix it with water and you take it to create bulk, right? For the to flush it out with more bulk, is it?
Yeah, so like Gary, I bet it even rises faster than Gary. So if you put it in a cup of water, and then you've got to drink it right away. And I personally prefer to take it at night, so it's working throughout the night. And when I wake up and I go to the bathroom, it's a really good experience. So that's the best time I would recommend.
The issue might be having the kids to take it, especially our special needs kids. And I'm sure each parent just has to find a way around it. Can we put it in something? Can we hide it in something? Or maybe there's cereal or something, because having them to take it like that, I know my son wouldn't take that, definitely. Have you had any issues with that parent saying they're not taking it?
Yeah, so that's a challenge. And let me sound a note of caution. If you're talking about using for children with autism, don't want to start with that, because your kid may not have the enzymes and the wherewithal to digest the fiber at this point. It may cause a worse problem of constipation. So we start with the process of getting the whole gut ready first before introducing fiber to their regimen. I thought you were asking I thought the person was asking
for adults. Yeah, she said adults and children. Yeah, okay. So it's good we clarified that, so we don't go running and trying to buy Xylem tomorrow morning. And besides, I mean, with your protocol, you will know at what point in time to put this in, right? For the children on the spectrum or the special needs. Yeah, okay. So the next one is, what's your take on nutritional psychiatry? I've never heard this, probably doctor knows this. How important is it during Ramadan?
Yeah, actually I have some poor bandwidth. The question basically is that, as you rightly explained, the impact of gut on the brain and all. I just want to understand that the nutritional values or the nutritional impact of the food whatsoever we do have. So what exactly is the impact on human psychology? And how critical it is during Ramadan when we are fasting. So what kind of food, etc., we should consume so that our brain get enough nutritional to be alert, active, more kind of things. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Connie. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I like to hone in on 3 or 4 very key things, because people are going to be people. People are just going to, I mean, it's very hard to change people's eating habits, whatever kind of habits. So I always say, take this in addition to whatever else you're taking. So it's my top things, my top recommendation. If you can't eat all the fruits and vegetables that you're expected to eat, and they say 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, and all the different colors, different colors, you should have all that. If you can't do that, take the fiber, psyllium, a very good quality psyllium husk fiber. Take the vitamin C, the powder, not the capsules, not the tablets, because they have fillers in them. If you can get the pure vitamin C ascorbic acid powder from a reputable company, that's a very good one. And of course, vitamin D. Those 3 things I should add to your regimen. I'm not familiar with all the different kinds of foods you would eat during the Ramadan, but I know that you probably make the right choices where those are concerned. So those supplements are definitely my top 3 or 4. And yes, to answer your question about the effect of food on the psychology, the thing with things like fiber, and again, I'm really honing in on the most effective things, is that once you start feeding your good bacteria, what the good bacteria do is that they produce metabolites or certain chemicals which improve the gut wall. They also help boost and strengthen the immune system. They also help strengthen the brain. Extremely important for the brain. In fact, when I sometimes, I feel good already, because good bacteria automatically feel good. The converse is also true. If you start taking all this fried foods, if you start taking foods with preservatives, unprocessed foods, the lot of salt, unnatural foods, they're going to feed the bad bacteria. Once you feed the bad bacteria, you're going to be producing, those bad bacteria are going to be producing a lot of toxins. which will do the converse, the opposite of what I just described. It's going to affect the brain adversely. It's going to affect the immune system adversely. It's going to affect your digestive system adversely. It's going to affect your hormones adversely, and a host of other things. So you want to downplay the processed foods and go more for the natural kinds of foods, especially the fruits and vegetables. More vegetables than fruits if you have a health problem, because fruits tends to have a lot more sugar. So you want to dial down on especially the sweet fruits, especially if you are dealing with a health challenge or with your child who has autism or other learning disabilities, because that spikes up the sugar. The bad bacteria again feed on sugar and therefore can cause other problems in the body. I hope that answers.
Okay, we'll just be taking a few more because of time. And Doctor, can you pick up something from the chat?
Okay, let me take a look.
I just wanted to go with it chronologically, but I don't know if I've missed out some.
All right. Well, I see one here. It says, most of the time the gut is already damaged before we know our digestive system is upside down. What can be taken to restore and rebuild the gut lining in case of chronic gut dysbiosis? It's a great question. So gut dysbiosis is when the microbes, the gut bacteria, there's an imbalance. Usually you should have like 85% good, 15% bad, all together in the gut microbe. So when the issues in autism or other developmental conditions, for example, it's called dysbiosis, they are out of balance. So you might have more of the bad than the good, for example. I'm not saying that's exactly what happens. So what can be taken to restore and rebuild the gut lining? There are certain nutraceuticals that can help with the gut, with healing the gut lining. There's some certain collagen products. Even the fiber, if you can tolerate it, helps to rebuild the gut lining. Certain kinds of probiotics can help to rebuild the gut lining. But the process we like to go through at the Brain and Body Foundation is, first of all, to stop the roof from leaking, so to speak. So it's raining and the roof is leaking, and the first thing you want to do is you want to clean the furniture. You want to sweep the floor. No, the first thing you want to do is you want to plug the leakages, and then you can now deal with the other details. If you don't plug the leakages, you're going to keep on having to go round and round and round in circles. So that's what the first thing we do is to use a system that helps to push out all that gunk and stuff that has been stuck there. So we try to push it as much in a safe way. We don't use medication at all, any kind of drugs or medication. So everything is nutraceuticals and supplements. We use that to push that over a period of about 4 to 6 weeks. And then we can now deal with healing of the gut lining, but not before.
Okay. I love that analogy of the sealing, the leakage and all that. If you don't seal it, then everything will just keep happening. Probably because I'm very visual, so I could just visualize it. It's just such a waste of time. If you don't seal up, then what are you doing? You're just wasting time. Okay, so sorry, Fatima, I missed this. This is, it's as important as everybody's, but she has 2 special needs children, and we all know what that could mean, with different disabilities. A CP, I guess that's cerebral palsy, and a Down syndrome, and on the spectrum, okay, maybe a mix of both for one of them. Aside from probiotics, what other supplements should they be on? Probably a series of protocols for them, but then I'll allow Dr. David to say something.
I'm a little conflicted about answering this question, but I certainly don't want you to get the wrong impression that I'm not trying to help. But I'm always hesitant to just jump in the middle of something. Because I'm not so clear and tell you what to do, because I'm not so clear what you're doing, and even the advice I would give you, I am very, very, very specific on what sort of, if I say take omega-3 for instance, I know there's a lot of junk out there that they call themselves omega-3, so there's only 1 or 2 that I recommend. The same thing with probiotics, and some of these probiotics are not even available to the general public. They're only available to doctors. So that is the challenge. It's a little challenge I have. So universally, if you get a good high quality omega-3, in fact, supplements, especially for those with CP, especially because with CP, cerebral palsy, is a primarily a problem of structural damage. What do I mean by that? If you break this wall, for instance, it's the cement, sand, or whatever it is is put into it. That's what is known as structural damage. In autism, it's not structural damage, it's function that is awry. So what omega-3 does is that it helps to replace it provides the raw materials to repair the damaged structure, and by structure, I mean the nerve cells, the brain cells. That's all I'm saying. If you take out all the water from the brain, and it's just a dry, hard substance, 60% of that is fat. And I'm understand 20 to 40% is specifically omega-3s, So you can understand how important omega-3s will be to the structure of the brain. When we started with the foundation, I think we got a donation from somebody in the US here, and his donation were just very high quality omega-3s. And that was when the miracles really started, because I think they were transitioning to a new brand, so they wanted to get rid of the old stock, and we were like, yeah, give it to us. So they sent it to us. We were just giving it to everywhere. National hospital, people were just coming from all over, and then we even went to the military. We gave, because I have a military background, to the military hospital. Those who had PTSD, depression, traumatic brain injury, they were getting better. So the omega-3s are extremely important. Down syndrome, it helps with Down syndrome to some degree, but probiotics, there are some specific brain nutraceuticals compilations, and that could be helpful. So those are things that if you do need to, if you want to talk about it some more, we'd be glad to. But it's hard to just throw things out, because many of them have to be specially ordered, and they're not generally available in the health food stores.
Yeah, and also the composition depends on the problem the child is facing, right? It's not, it's a case-by-case basis, so probably reaching out to you. Dr. David, would you want at this point to share the screen where you have your contact details, so I don't make a mistake on your email? So we can all take a screenshot of it and they can reach out to you after. I'm sure everybody has so many questions, but it's just that the questions are so varied. I'm sure many of us don't even know where to start from. Like, I have thousands of questions for you, but because I know I'm just a WhatsApp away from you, so I'm saying them here, yeah. So please take a screenshot. I'll just take one more question. And okay, so Elsie is asking, probiotics in kids as supplements or just through foods such as yogurt? Okay, so the natural way.
No, you can't get it. From my experience, you can't get enough concentration or amount of the supplement that's needed to have an effect on special needs kids with just yogurt.
Okay, so it needs to be in tabs. And how can you ascertain, I promise this is the last one because it's the last question. How can you ascertain the presence of heavy metals in your child as a parent?
The ideal thing is to do a test, but even these tests, when we first started with our clinic, we were sending tests from Nigeria to South Africa because they weren't doing the tests in Nigeria. And they would come back as negative. And after about 3 weeks, and they would still demonstrate signs of heavy metal toxicity. And some of those signs are like hyperactivity. Some of them could actually be aggression, like I mentioned before, inability to focus or concentrate. And those other things could cause those as well. So what we did, again, like I said, I always go for the safest, most effective routes. So what we did is that just without exception, we just do the heavy metal toxicity cleanse, as well as all the other things, addressing the bugs, addressing the yeast, addressing the constipation and all the other things. So we just do that along with all those things. And there are some safe things, some safe interventions that can be used to just get heavy metals out. I use them myself because everybody is exposed to heavy metals, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
Just that special needs kids, in some cases, it could be a genetic reason. they may not be able to metabolize and detoxify on their own effectively enough, so they need help. But everybody is affected by toxins. So some kids just aren't able to get rid of them as quickly as other kids.
I see. So using different methods to get rid of them. Of course, I've heard some of the methods are not safe because they just do the chelation. I don't know much about it. I've never done it, but it just sounds scary.
So chelation, problem with chelation is, one, is harsh on the body, and then two, it takes away the good metals as well as the bad heavy metals. And so it's non-specific. It just takes all that out. And so you have to be careful to replace those things. Our method is very selective. It takes out all the bad and the chemicals and the toxins as well, but it preserves the good.
Okay, so just another tail to that question. This is not another, but just a tail, something that I've always wondered about. If you have a child with autism, for example, and he's exhibiting some traits of probably has some heavy metals, most of our kids is so difficult to get a blood work. Would you just go ahead and start the protocol of heavy metals, or would you rather say, oh no, I need to see a result that he has heavy metals?
Once they've taken the blood work, you can go ahead, because that's not going to affect anything.
So the blood work is the part that it's so hard. It's so hard to get them to do a blood work. Do you just do the heavy metals as part of the protocol, or okay?
Yeah, you can't go wrong detoxifying with everything. Like I said, the problem is that some metals are just so harsh on the body, but what we do is not harsh on the body at all.
Okay. So without further ado, we'll say thank you so much, Dr. David, for his time. I mean, I can see the passion. This is the first time, like I said, is a maiden one with Dr. David, and it's going to be every fourth night. So come in with all your questions. Every fourth night is going to be a different topic. Dr. David is going to pick up the next topic. I promise you, next one, because probably it's going to be juicier because he knows what he wants to give. I just wanted to play around with words, and I came up with this one. And we also thought we should start with the foundation, right, Dr. David?
Yes.
And then with time, I'm sure you're going to make it more specific. Now you've talked about probiotics. Probably we have one on probiotics, one on enzymes, it's a vast topic. Do we all agree that we couldn't have done justice to this topic? Are we still okay? Are we still awake? Let me just see a yes. And just
what time is it over there?
Sorry?
What time is it over there?
It's actually 9:10, and my kids are waiting for me to put them to bed, but they know this is my passion, so they can't take me out of this. You would have noticed that I had my video off at a point in time because they wanted me, but then because of the time, so by the way, Dr. David is joining us from the US, so as he's waking up, I'm going to bed. And so there's not time discrepancy, but it's fine. I love doing this, and I'll do it anyhow.
That's a quick one. So I'm working on a book now, and if you have any topics that you think you would like to be elaborated on and all that, you don't mind sending me an email.
Sure, definitely. I'll do that. I'll find out from the group what else they need. Yeah, okay. So Elsie, I hope you're going to buy this from Dr. David, and with a beautiful protocol that he has. So Elsie is sending me a direct message to say that Bimbo tried to log in, but she couldn't. And I think she knows that I'm going to go after her. So yeah, but the Elsie wants to go and buy some probiotics for her 9-year-old son. So perfect. Please reach out to Dr. David, and we'll have more and more of this as time goes on. We don't know when we'll stop. I'm sure it will just keep giving birth to other things. Thank you so much to everybody that logged on. So much sorry to have kept you 15 minutes late, but then we didn't start on time. Until in 2 weeks' time, when we see you again, thank you so much. Dr. David, thank you so much. Let's show some appreciation to Dr. David, please. Anyhow you think you can unmute, say whatever, say something, drop in the chat one thing you learned today. Just a simple 2 words or 1 sentence, and we'll be gone in a minute. Show some appreciation.
Thank you, Dr. David.
Show some love, but in some parts of the world, I can't say that. I'll just keep it safe. Show some appreciation, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elsie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to hear you.
All right, thank you so much. I have a consultation coming up right now.
Thank you, Dr. David. I'll see you everybody till they go. Thank you.
Okay. All right then. Thanks.
Take care. Bye. Okay.
Asma, thank you so much for putting this together. This is just so fantastic. It's funny. I know you guys, I hope everybody's logged off, but I just wanted to say everything he described about, having the constipation, and that's like my 9-year-old son, just like that.
Wow.
He goes, maybe he has a bowel movement like every 2 days, and he's on the spectrum, but not too, his situation is he has a speech delay and then just some, other delays, but I can see that probiotics will really help. I never even thought about it because we've done so many things.
It happens.
Yeah.
You'll be doing so many things all over the place without actually waiting to see what should work. Oh, that's good one. That's good one. But please reach out to him because he could also put something else together. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate it. Fatima, thank you for your question, and it opened up doors to have answered many things. Please reach out to him. Are you in Nigeria?
Alaikum Asma.
Fatima, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, Alhamdulillah. How have you been?
Very well, Alhamdulillah, thank you.
So I'm in Nigeria, and I heard him talking about like a walk-in clinic or something. Is it in Nigeria?
Yes, so he does have one, I presume, in Lagos and Abuja. He is living in the US, but he does come and go. Probably now because of the COVID, so he's not visited for some time. He's very, very, very passionate about what he does. I respect him a lot because he started, giving people free stuff because he just feels this thing is working. You have to do this. So yes.
Yeah, because if you have with my CP child, he's almost always constipated. So I am open for anything that works because we need to reduce the complications. He's always stressed. And stuff, and then now I have a Down syndrome that also on the spectrum. So I would really like to learn more because I'm new in the journey of Down syndrome and spectrum autism. So I would really love to know what supplements she's supposed to be on and stuff. So I'm open to learn. I'm willing to learn.
So, okay, and how old is she?
Yeah, she's Downs and she's also on the spectrum of autism. She's 1.
She's okay. Alhamdulillah. So, alhamdulillah that you still not that alhamdulillah she has Downs, but alhamdulillah also, I mean, it's for a reason Allah gave us because, like I said to my son yesterday, he said, but all the things his brother is doing, and he was trying to complain about one thing or the other. I said, well, God gave me the tools first before He gave him to me. That's what I believe.
Yes.
So they're here to do something obviously all the time.
Yeah.
So she's 1, so what a better time to start. Please reach out to him immediately, and I'm actually going to follow up on you if I had your number. Shoot him a message right away on WhatsApp, and he'll direct you. So what I like, he's not even, he's very modest. He's not talked about the way he does it. So the way he does it, it's like he takes you through, I think, 6 months protocol. Within 6 months, you would have seen something. He holds your hand through it. And every month, so every week, he asks you, like, okay, I should add this, I should reduce it. What's the behavior? What do you want to see? So he works based on the goals of the parents. It's different than walking into a pharmacy and they just give you, and there's nobody to do anything else. And besides the probiotics we're talking about, these are live bacteria we're talking about. So when they bring them from another country, what was the medium of the journey of the probiotics? Because again, we need to remember that there's a doctor here, so I don't want to say anything that doesn't make sense. Dr. Abosede is watching me, but I stand to be corrected. I know the efficacy is very important, right? The way it was stored, the temperature, like over here, they keep them in certain temperature, not on you never see probiotics on the shelves. The ones I've seen before, I've asked them and they said it's a different type that the bacteria can withstand a certain temperature and all that. So this is very important to note. All right, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you all. As you log off, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on, and keep with the date. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be back again.